Last week, President Jacob Zuma, during his State of the Nation address, set the scene and high levels of concentration in the hands of few and the collusion that takes place within the country with cartels. The President promised to transform the structure of the economy through industrialization, broad-based black economic empowerment, and through strengthening and expanding the role of the state in the economy. Now, to discuss this and other stories, and as we continue with our theme this morning, let's go over to Eben to focus on the issue of collusion and cartels.
Yeah, Elvis, the President was quite clear last week, of course. We've been asking you the questions, of course, on screen, and, of course, we want you to vote in our poll. But let's just go back to the State of the Nation address last week, Thursday. The President was clear, bold, and unambiguous to the challenge of breaking cartels and economic transformation.
State will play a role in the economy to drive that transformation. In this regard, government will utilize to the maximum the strategic levers that are available to the state. This includes legislation, regulations, licensing, budget, and procurement, as well as broad-based black economic empowerment charters to influence the behavior of the private sector and drive transformation. The state spends 500 billion rand a year buying goods and services. Added to this is the 900 billion rand infrastructure budget. Those budgets must be used to achieve economic transformation. As a start, the new regulations making it compulsory for big constructors to subcontract 30% of business to black-owned enterprises have been finalized and were gazetted on the 20th of January. Through such regulations and programs, government will be able to use the state buying power to empower small enterprises, rural and township enterprises, designated groups, and to promote local industrial development. Two key challenges we face is the high levels of concentration in the economy, as well as the collusion and cartels which squeeze out small players and hamper the entry of young entrepreneurs and black industrialists. The competition authorities have done excellent work to uncover the cartels and punish them for breaking the law. Last year, I signed into law a provision to criminalize the cartels and collusion, and it came into effect on 1 May. It carries jail sentences of up to 10 years. We are now stepping up our actions to deal with the other challenge, namely economic concentration, where a small grouping controls most of the market. During this year, the Department of Economic Development will bring legislation to Cabinet that will seek to amend the Competition Act. It will, among others, address the need to have a more inclusive economy and to deconcentrate the high levels of ownership and control we see in many sectors. We will then table the legislation for consideration by Parliament.
So South Africa's committed itself to embark on structural reform through radical economic transformation. In the State of the Nation address, President Jacob Zuma told South Africans to anticipate changes to the competition laws. A great concern to the South African economy is the high levels of concentration of big dominant business in some sectors, which tend to squeeze out smaller players. The Competition Commission has been successful in their fight against dominance and monopolies. Within the last 12 months, 133 new cartel cases have been investigated. In the latest, South African Airways says it's seeking legal advice following a High Court judgment ordering it to pay Comair over 1.1 billion rand for anti-competitive behaviour. Comair accused SAA of implementing an incentive scheme to travel agents which excluded its competitors. This week alone, cartels in the building industry agreed to pay a fine for their uncompetitive conduct. ABSA has pledged to cooperate with the Competition Tribunal following the Competition Commission's decision to refer a collusion case against 17 banks now for prosecution. 3 local banks, ABSA, Investec and Standard Bank, are reportedly involved. Now, from the Competition Commission of South Africa, we are joined in Pretoria by the Deputy Commissioner, Hardin Ratshisusu. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for being with us today.
Good morning, Eben.
Just give us, let's start with the latest developments. We see a lot of this reported on in the last 24 hours or so. Just give us a quick update on the 3 cases that you're dealing with this week. That's the building industry, SAA and the banks. If you can just give us a quick overview.
The main case that we referred yesterday is the investigation against the banks, mainly those that deal with currency, foreign currency trading. We have referred the case to the tribunal for prosecution, having found that these entities have contravened the Competition Act by fixing the price of foreign exchange as they embarked on various sport transactions in the banks they work for.
I want to, as you heard when I read the intro there, we referred to more than 100 cases of cartel-like behavior in South Africa. Do we have a culture of collusion and price fixing and in the end cartel-like behavior that's developed in South African business?
What we have seen in a lot of sectors in South Africa is the pervasive nature of anti-competitive conduct, which should be worrying for the economy. It worries us as the regulator of competition in the country. You are correct. There is a huge number of investigations in a number of sectors that we are currently investigating. We have finalized, as you know, in the past, construction cases. We have finalized cases in bread. But I can tell you now, there are many cases that we are investigating and many others in excess of 60 that are before the Competition Tribunal that involve specific cartel conduct. So this is something that we think is quite rife in the economy, and it's something that we are tackling head on. And I think with the resolve that we have, we will tackle the problem until business understands that anti-competitive behavior is not accepted in this country.
This kind of behavior that we see in South Africa, that's almost become endemic in business practice, how does it affect small business? How does it squeeze small business out of the picture in South Africa specifically?
This is a very, very big problem because anti-competitive practices tend to be a barrier to entry in many of these markets. I give an example. A cartel, in the true sense of the word, is a club of very few connected individuals who agree on certain times to raise prices, and in that way, they also exclude people that are outside of that club. We are concerned about such conduct. There is conduct relating to abuse of market dominance, where you are finding big companies exploiting the very same small businesses that rely on them for services. So these are the things that are quite important to tackle, and I think we have seen that small businesses, and many of them file complaints with us, are confronted with anti-competitive conduct on a daily basis, and we continuously engage, investigate with a view to resolve some of these. I mean, you would have noted recently we have been looking at the aftermarket automotive sector.
Yeah.
We are going to have a workshop to engage, and I can tell you most of the entities affected there are SMMEs.
Now, the president talked about change in the competition laws in the country. How do you think it's going to ease your work, the work that you do, and then open the market for small business?
We definitely welcome the changes that are coming through as they seek to strengthen the Competition Act. This is very important because as we have been implementing this act, we have identified gaps, which gaps we have relayed back even to government, to our minister responsible, that for us to be effective in this way, there are certain areas that may need to be strengthened. And one such area is to deal with market concentration. We have been very good with dealing with cartel conduct. We are very effective in major regulation, but there are gaps in the manner in which we have addressed market concentration in the economy and the spread and of ownership in a number of sectors. So we welcome this move by government, and we look forward to these changes in ensure that we remain effective as the regulator.
Deputy Commissioner, it's Elvis Presland here. I just want to ask the question, you know, the US has now for years tried to criminalize monopolies. And in South Africa, it seems like to minimize this monopolies that we have and the collusions, and that was without success. In South Africa, the president did mention that there'll be a 10-year jail sentence for practices like collusion and cartel-like behavior. Do you think that that will assist in moving us forward in order to break down these cartels?
What we have here is, of course, a conduct that is frowned upon in many countries. This conduct is criminalized, I can tell you, in places like the US, the UK, Canada, and Australia. It's a bad conduct, and I think we welcome the move by the president last year to sign those amendments into law. We now have those powers since May last year to prosecute individuals involved in this cartel conduct. So it's a very, very important intervention. It's very critical for deterrence. We think it's very, very important. I can give you an example. Even though the very same case that we are dealing with, there are individuals already that are facing jail time in the US who were participating in the very same conduct which affected the US. So we think this is the way to go if we are to deter this type of conduct in our country.
Commissioner, thank you very much for talking to us today. From the Competition Commission, Deputy Commissioner Hardin Ratshisusu, talking to us from the capital in Pretoria. Yes, 10 years. 10 years, Alvis, for anti-competitive behavior.
10 years, my friend, you're going to sit in jail and you're going to be held individually liable. Not the company, but you as an individual. And that's a move in the right direction, I think.
Because it's so difficult to start a business. And that's our question to you today. We're focusing on the challenges of starting a business here in South Africa. So we've been asking you, why is it so difficult to start a business here? We've just heard. We're investigating more than 130 cases of cartel-like behavior, price fixing, collusion in every single industry almost in South Africa. So as the little guy, you have very little chance. But you guys are tweeting us. Lechasa says, if you are Lechasa from ZB, they will ask you a lot of documents so that you can give up and help their families to open it, says Lechasa. To the point.
That's taking over your business without even starting yet. Temba says, because we don't get enough money and we like to support peoples from other countries. Small business, I'm not too sure what exactly that means, Temba.
Ikonanatso says, the challenges are too many. Examples, red tape, politicized system, and racial stumbling blocks with no proper policing honoring by the government, says IH.
Siafana says, it's because we don't have enough money to start that business in our country. So says Siafana. So it's funding. It's the second largest problem that small businesses does have in South Africa.
A little bit later you'll escalate that conversation. Shrek says, because of finance and lack of strategy. Yes, but we also see that small businesses are being suppressed. They're being suppressed. They're being suppressed, Alvis, no doubt. We're running a poll. And the poll we ask you is exactly that, suppression. Are monopolies stifling small business in South Africa? Alvis got 122 votes in, and the people are unanimous, aren't they?
84% are saying, yes, Eben, these monopolies are stifling small business in South Africa. The little man on the street corner trying to sell tomatoes, he's being stifled because he cannot buy in bulk because the other monopolies are buying them out.
Yep, they're buying them up. They don't have access to product. I can't believe that 133 instances. 133 instances.
And these are bread and butter issues.
60 have already been escalated to the competition tribunal. That's a final step. Cloney says big corporates are colluding to suffocate small businesses out of mainstream economy. Newsroom. Simple and on point.
This one from Sipo says, yes, they are, sir. Because if you can check, small businesses play a big role in our economy, and that is so true. Your economy, the heart of your economy starts with small businesses. That's
if we are going to attack unemployment, small business is where we're going to win that war. Eardley Rudman says the biggest monopoly government is stopping all businesses. Yes, Eardley, you sound like you have an interest.
This one from Lachasa says, big yes, they do stifle small business, says Lachasa.
Well, obviously that's where we are. Keep tweeting us, keep telling us what you think, and don't forget to vote. It's very interesting and very important a focus or theme that we have to Davos.
Very important theme. We have a number of role players in to talk to us about this particular issue, small business and the need for small businesses, and how small or big business really stifles small businesses and these monopolies and cartels that we're talking about.
Absolutely. We have a bicycle cartel. We have a margarine and bread cartel. How about that? We have school uniform cartels. We are insurance, cardboard, you name it. 133 of them. Everything that you want to do business in almost is